Yo, what is good, everybody? It is your boy, Golden Falls, Golden What If, whatever you want to call me. And I'm back. I am back. This is the finale of What If Isagi was Chigiri's brother. As always, though, make sure to show some love to the video. Make sure to show some love to the content. I want to say this really fast. I do have a Spotify. Some of y'all already know that, but I do have a Spotify. It's always in the link in the description, so if you guys want to check that out. All of these videos are slowly but surely getting put on that. I'm actually almost caught up with every single video on Spotify. So eventually you will get every single part on Spotify as well. So it'll be basically like YouTube is getting it, and then Spotify is getting it. So it'll be pretty consistent in terms of that. So yeah, so check that out if you want to. If you want to, like, you know, re-listen to some of my Spotify or my What If content. And yeah, that's about it. That's all I really got to say. I've been a little inconsistent with What Ifs recently, just because I've been trying to like work on some other stuff in terms of YouTube content, but I'm not really here to talk about that. So yeah, I'm not gonna waste that much more of your time, and let's actually get right into the What If. Let's get it. Isagi Yoichi, or Isagi, Chigiri, and also Bachira go up against three of the best people or best players in Blue Lock: Rin, Tokumitsu, and Aru. They go against the three of them, and will their coordination be able to push forward and push past the talent that is in front of them? Well, they're going to find out relatively fast, because they take them on in a blaze of glory. Frankly, there is no in-between in terms of going all out. Isagi and Chigiri go completely blazing through the field as fast as possible, trying to more or less misdirect and also show different looks to all three of the players on the other team. They would get an early goal, Bachira setting up Isagi for a beautiful goal that he sprinted by, or was easily able to sprint by somebody. But quickly they would realize that this game is far closer than they can possibly imagine, because when Rin sets up a goal himself, kicking it from about halfway across the field, they would stand there in complete shock, not understanding how good Rin really is. With the score now 1-1, it seems as if Isagi's team is looking for another advantage, utilizing their speed and their ability to play off-ball extremely well. It seems like Isagi's team has no problem getting down the field, but quickly Rin begins to read their movement, jumping passing lanes and stealing the ball, setting not only himself up, but Aru up for a goal as well. Quickly, it would be 2-1, and Isagi would look at his brother and look at Bachira, telling them that they need to pick up a pace that is unworldly, a pace that they only can work on and they only can play on. So Isagi tells Bachira that he will be main distributor, and the reason for this is because he wants both of his brother and himself to run absolutely wild, to sprint and play off ball as much as possible, and use their speed to open up passing lanes infinitely. As they begin to try and play the game like this, Isagi and Chigiri begin to open up lanes that were wide open. Even Rin can't keep up, because at the end of the day, he can't guard everybody. Even Tokumitsu, who is pretty fast, but still, he can't even get close to keeping up with the Chigiri brothers, or Chigiri and also Isagi. It's easy for them to get by them, and Bachira sets them up for the easiest goals possible. Rin tries to read off of Bachira, but Bachira is so unorthodox and hard to read, making it extremely difficult for actually Rin to read Bachira and where he wants to pass the ball. This would lead to another goal, putting them tied 2-2. The next goal would matter a lot, especially because Rin's team is looking for a goal themselves to put them at an advantage. But quickly, Isagi and Chigiri would run and bait, basically running off and on the ball, trying to switch targets infinitely as much as possible, as if it's just creating a blur. they're not understanding, or even Rin isn't necessarily understanding what they're doing. Rin can't even get a read on who's really open. Rin can't necessarily figure out exactly what they're doing. It seems like they're playing off of each other's speed, so much so that it's almost impossible to keep up with it. And they continue to do this over and over and over again. And it's super distracting for Rin, and Rin can't get a complete nail in the coffin and can't get a complete stop to what they're doing. And this continues to happen, eventually leading to a steal from Chigiri himself, as Chigiri races down the field past everybody and getting a goal, putting them up 3-2. But Rin knows that he needs to start to take over the game, take over whatever he needs to do. So that's exactly what he does. This little speed thing that they were doing defending the ball isn't going to work anymore. Rin begins to read it perfectly and begins to stop it entirely. He begins to kind of see the way they want to play defense, and eventually would bring it to a complete and utter halt, stopping it from actually happening entirely. He actually makes them and forces them to more or less just guard normally, guard relatively similar to how anybody else would guard in a normal field and in a normal way. Isagi sees this and tries to react to it, but even with his understanding of football and his understanding around the ball and his understanding in general of reading the field, it becomes extremely difficult for him to make reads, especially off of Rin. Rin would find his way to the goal once again, and he would scoring, putting them 3-3, tied once again. This tie would obviously put Isagi's team in a weird position, but they would have the advantage, and that would be obvious. But still, even with the advantage, it's still difficult to figure out a way of getting around basically Rin and a big body like Tokumitsu and the height of Aru. It's extremely difficult. So he tries to get around them, but it begins to collapse. Their strategy, all of what they're trying to do, it begins to collapse. And Rin slowly but surely begins to read this, especially with a stamina issue slowing them down slowly but surely. They had the advantage in the beginning, but now their advantage is slowly but surely depleting, and it's definitely affecting them on the field entirely. Isagi tries to find his way to the goal, passing it back to Bachira, as Bachira would use his beautiful dribbling skills to break through some of the defense, looking for Chigiri himself, but Chigiri would whiff and he would miss the ball just barely, as it seems the ball is passed beyond his reach. But it's not necessarily passed beyond its reach, it's at the end of the day because he's getting tired. And the fact is, the way they're utilizing their speed at the moment is draining on all of them, or draining on the two speedsters in Chigiri and also Isagi. It's putting them at a massive disadvantage, and it will continue to do that as long as the game goes longer. Isagi tries to recover, and Rin would immediately steal the ball from him, and he would begin hunting down the field for another goal. But Isagi realizes that he can't rely on his speed. He can't rely just on that solely. So he tries to outthink Rin, utilizing his speed as a factor, but outthink him and utilize his brains and his speed at the same time, putting himself in a decent position, forcing Rin to actually pass and forcing him to be completely distant from the play. And Chigiri would see this as an opening, going for a steal himself, as he basically slides into the ball, stealing it, landing right into Bachira's lap. Bachira would get past Tokumitsu, but Tokumitsu would quickly try his best to recover. But Bachira would look to his left, as it seems that Chigiri has a second wind. Sprinting down the field, he's wide open. One pass, beautiful one as well, and Chigiri's not going to miss a second time. He scores the goal, putting them up 4-3, and this would be their advantage. Now in a position that they didn't think they would be in, and now it seems that Rin is cracking at the seams. It seems as if Rin realizes that Isagi is kind of figuring things out. It may have taken him a little bit, but with the advantage of how fast he is and the way his mind works, it seems like Isagi is slowly but surely putting the pieces together. And that's exactly what he ends up doing. With one lethal attack on defense again, it would eventually lead them to scoring another goal, putting them in a winning spot and winning in general, putting them up 5-3, and that's the game being over. Rin is completely in disbelief, but his disbelief wouldn't last that much longer, because he would be quickly picked up. Because Rin, he's a talented, very talented person, and with the two speedsters on his team, who's telling, or nobody really knows, the potential that is there. They would all head off as Rin is stolen from their team, and quickly Rin realizes how gifted Isagi and Chigiri really are. At the end of the day, he doesn't like the idea of him losing, and he doesn't like the idea of him even admitting to a loss / kind of even trying to work with these people, but he knows now that he needs to work with them if he wants to be the best. They begin training together, scheming and planning and so on and so forth, and eventually, finally, a 4-person team would arrive, and it would be familiar faces: Ryo, Nagi, and also Tokumitsu and Aru. A team of 4 that seemingly is ready to take on the two speedsters, Bachira and Rin Itoshi, but they're really not ready. Nagi may have progressed throughout this time and would be excited to take on the likes of Isagi once again. But Tokumitsu and Aru, they haven't progressed that much, and Ryo, well, let's just say he's a very legitimate weakness on that team. The speed of Chigiri and Isagi sprinting down the field with Rin's technician and his ability to survey, understand, and manipulate the field to his will seemingly puts them at such a massive advantage. Rin would set up goals for Isagi, for Chigiri, and their defense would be absolutely suffocating. And quickly, the other team would realize that there is no stopping this threat. Isagi's team would absolutely obliterate their team. The team chemistry seems to be too good, but it's not even a chemistry thing. It's more or less everyone buying in. And Rin being the main facilitator and Bachira being kind of that offside facilitator, and just an ability to make his own space himself with his dribbling when the ball is in his hands. It's absolutely insane. Rin's team, or Isagi's team, would come up with a win 5-1, easily scraping past and easily obliterating the team that Nagi has, and eventually they would decide on picking up Nagi himself. Because Nagi, at the end of the day, has probably one of the most highest potential thresholds out of everybody on that field at this moment. And that's just the fact of the matter. The 5 of them would now enter into the final stages of the second selection, and the final stage of that second selection would be against, well, the World 5. A 5 versus 5 against the World 5 would put them on the map, especially if they can dominate. And that's all Isagi and Rin can think about, and frankly, they're all convinced that they can do it, that they can show levels that they have gained. And Rin even tells the World 5 that this little sightseeing trip to Japan, well, it's going to be traumatic, that he's going to make sure they suffer in this game. And with their coordination, they would come up with the very first goal, and confidence would be at a sky high. But quickly, the cracks in what they're capable of would show. Their speed would keep them in it, at least Chigiri and Isagi's speed, but there's someone on that other team as well that speed is unholy. That seems to be that it's just unearth-like, that he's an alien. Julian Loki would absolutely cut through them like butter, and he would show exactly what speed is. And yes, Isagi and Chigiri might find a goal for themselves, just one maybe between both of them later on in that game, but still, losing 5-2 would be completely just humiliating. They would get destroyed, cut through, just obliterated. And frankly, they were talking so much smack and trash, or Rin at least was, and for them to lose like that, that's horrendous for them, especially for the mental state of Rin. But after the fact, they realized that they weren't even supposed to win that game, and frankly, who was going to win that game? A 5v5 against some of the best kind of one-on-one players ever in the world is absolutely impossible. So at the end of the day, they may lose that game, but they have so much more to gain very soon. Because when they stand in front of Jinpachi Ego once again, when they stand in front of that giant screen and Jinpachi Ego says that Blue Lock is in jeopardy and that taking down the U20 team of Japan is the way for them to stay, let's just say there is no fear in the eyes of the team that just got through. There is no fear in the eyes of the Chigiri brothers and Isagi himself. And frankly, there would never be fear, because they have some of the greatest and most lethal tandems they've ever seen, and even Jinpachi Ego has seen what they're capable of and has seen what they can truly do. And he tells them that he hopes all of them are ready, every last one of them, because this is not only a fight or a game, this is a fight for their lives, a fight for Blue Lock, because once they beat the U20 team, the skies are not only the limit, they can even soar into the stratosphere. But with that said, that's a story for another day and another time. And if you enjoyed the finale of What If Isagi was Chigiri's brother, then show some love. Leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. And I hope y'all have an amazing day. Later.